Oily skin is not a type of skin, it is a state of skin. You are not born with oily skin. You are born with normal skin that can become more oily or more dry based on various factors. Before we get into them, keep in mind, oil is not the enemy. One of the worst things that you can do for oily skin is to use cleansers or masks that strip your skin of every last drop of oil. If your face feels dry and tight after you wash it, your cleanser is way too harsh and it's stripping too much oil. Skin naturally produces oil to coat, moisturize, and protect itself. So when you remove it, it will actually end up producing more oil to compensate for the loss. If you're struggling with oily skin, the goal should be to reduce excess oil, but not to obliterate all oil completely. So let's talk about 4 things that cause oily skin and 4 solutions to prevent it. First and foremost, eating too much dairy, refined sugar, and/or refined carbohydrates can cause your skin to become too oily. Why? All of these foods cause an increase of a hormone called IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1. And the research shows that higher levels of IGF-1 stimulate the overproduction of sebum, aka oil. Dairy in particular also contains progesterone and precursors of DHT, which are hormones that can stimulate the overproduction of sebum. It's not surprising that these foods are also the most well linked to acne in the scientific literature. So one powerful way to stop oily skin is to reduce or avoid these foods. Also, aim to consume at least 30 grams of fiber daily. Studies have shown that both a high fiber and low glycemic load diet may reduce excess androgens and IGF-1 levels and therefore excess oil and acne. I have tons of high fiber, low glycemic load recipes on my website, so I will link to a few of my favorites below. Now I know food changes can seem overwhelming at first, so what I found really helpful when I was changing my diet was to think about upgrading my favorite foods instead of cutting them out completely. So for example, with dairy, you can try coconut milk, hemp milk, almond milk, or other nut milks. And when you're buying store-bought nut milks, look for those with minimal ingredients, ideally just nuts and water. For yogurt, you can try coconut or other plant-based yogurts. For cheese, there are a few brands that I really like that are really tasty, like Miyoko's, BioLife, Treeline, and Kite Hill. And for ice cream, you can try homemade banana ice cream, which was a lifesaver for me when I had really bad acne. Now for sweets, try desserts sweetened with pure monk fruit or pure stevia, which keep your blood sugar stable. You can also try desserts with coconut sugar, honey, date syrup, and maple syrup. But you want to use these in moderation and aim for less than 25 grams of sugar a day, ideally. I really love the Evolved Keto Cups, which are made with monk fruit, and their protein chocolate, which is absolutely amazeballs. This is not sponsored. I actually really love it. It contains 10 grams of protein, collagen protein per serving, and only 5 grams of coconut sugar. Now for refined carbohydrates, try brown or black rice instead of white rice, shirataki noodles instead of pasta, which are an absolute favorite. You can try a cauliflower crust pizza instead of a regular crust, a whole grain like seed bread instead of white bread, and there are just so many different upgrades you can have. So whatever food that you need an upgrade for, just let me know and I can give you some ideas in the comments below. Secondly, hormonal imbalances can cause oily skin. Fun fact, your hormones control your oil production. It's well established that high androgen levels, such as excessive testosterone, particularly in women, increase sebum production. Now guess what can cause excess testosterone in women? Too much dairy, sugar, or refined carbohydrates. And as I mentioned earlier, more fiber has been shown to reduce excess androgens. So those same dietary changes that we just talked about may also aid in hormone balance. Now I want to talk about period breakouts for a second because those are probably the most well-known or most talked about hormonal breakouts. But in my opinion, they're not really hormonal breakouts as much as habit breakouts. Because here's the thing, Yes, our hormones fluctuate around our menstrual cycle. So during our period, the levels of estrogen and progesterone drop, while levels of testosterone stay the same, but because the estrogen and progesterone have dropped, relatively the testosterone is higher than it is normally at the, during the rest of the month. So oftentimes you'll hear this as the reason for why women break out around their period. But my issue with this is that every woman who's menstruating is having these same, similar fluctuations, but not every woman with a period is breaking out around her period. So we can't really blame those hormone fluctuations, those period hormone fluctuations. There's something else going on. And from my research and my understanding, it's inflammation, chronic inflammation, and likely a blood sugar imbalance. There may also be other hormonal balances at play, or hormonal imbalances at play, but it's not just your period. So just because you're a woman with a period doesn't mean that you should get period breakouts every single month. Now, what can help you get rid of these period breakouts? So in my experience personally, and also in many of my clients' experience, simply replacing a lot of these processed and packaged foods that are high glycemic and spiking our blood sugar and our insulin, replacing them with whole foods, nutrient-dense foods, and a low glycemic diet that keeps our blood sugar more stable. That is the key to not only getting rid of PMS symptoms and PMS cramps, but also PMS breakouts. So if you are breaking out around your period, it's a good idea to assess your diet. And there are a few questions that you can ask yourself whether you have, or if you have period breakouts or really any sort of hormonal imbalance. How much dairy, refined sugar, and refined carbohydrates are you consuming? Are you consuming enough fiber? Are you constipated? This can also lead to hormonal imbalances. So hormone imbalances can start in the gut. Do you have any nutrient deficiencies, such as vitamin D, magnesium, or omega-3? What is your stress level? Are you in a constant state of anxiety and overwhelm or fear or sadness? All of these things can throw our hormones off balance. You also want to ask yourself, are you over-exercising? Are you eating enough calories and enough fat? Are you sleeping well? Are you using any personal care products or home products that contain hormone-disrupting chemicals? All of these questions can help you get to the root causes of your hormonal imbalance. Third, chronic stress is another cause of excess oil production. Chronic stress increases the levels of the stress hormone cortisol, which in turn increases sebum production, resulting in more oily skin, clogged pores, and breakouts. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology found that feelings of fear and weeping or crying were associated with increased sebum production. Beyond just increasing cortisol levels, stress also causes a cascade of other chemicals to flood the body, including androgens, those male hormones that can trigger oil production when they are in excess. And it also causes an increase in inflammatory chemicals, which also contribute to breakouts. Finding ways to mitigate and deal with your stress will go a long way in improving the health of your skin, your gut, and your brain. Practices like breath work, meditation, yoga, time in nature, exercise, or finding a hobby you enjoy can help. Turning off the news, silencing phone and social media notifications, which is probably the best thing I ever did, and making time to laugh are also extremely impactful. But perhaps the most effective way to mitigate stress is to change your perspective on it and develop a more resilient mindset. There are always going to be stressors in life, but it's up to you to decide how you respond to them. I'm going to link a book below that can help. This book really, really helped me. I recommend it to all my clients, and I think it could be really helpful for you too. Finally, and we touched on this in the beginning, using overly harsh skincare or excessively washing your face can lead to more oily skin. Any sort of harsh skincare or excessive washing, which dries out the skin, can end up having the opposite of its intended effect. Because when you strip too much oil from the skin, this prompts your oil glands to produce more sebum to compensate for the loss. In the morning, a splash of water should be completely sufficient, and a cleanse is really only needed at the end of the day or after a sweaty workout. It may seem counterintuitive, but a more gentle skincare routine is more suitable for inflamed, acne-prone skin. I'll include a link below to some of my favorite natural, gentle products. Food and lifestyle are going to do the heavy lifting for clearing your acne, reducing oil, excess oil. So keeping it really simple with your skincare routine is ideal. And remember, everyone's skin is different and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to acne or oily skin. If you're concerned about the amount of oil your skin is producing, or if you are struggling with acne, check out and download my Clear Skin Plan. It's a science-backed, doctor-approved, proven program to help you clear acne naturally through diet and lifestyle changes. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos on tips to clear your acne naturally, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell button, and also give this video a thumbs up.